Strategy for the R's to go hard right and stay there. That's what politics looks like from the inside. Endless skirmishing. Right. We're talking politics.
Hardball with Chris Matthews, next on MSNBC, the place for politics.
All right, today's Town Square, former top Goldman exec going to Washington to push for financial reform. High-powered business women will sit down with top senators tomorrow, asking them to do away with an outdated regulatory system that has left all responsible for the banks and their wild gambles completely unaccountable and with control of the government. Joining us now, Deborah Jackson, spent 25 years on Wall Street, familiar with the difference between banking and investing, for instance, including a decade as a managing director at Goldman. And what is your point tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for giving us some time to talk about this important issue for consumers. Tomorrow I am going with a group of 8 women from Wall Street, very senior women, and we are going to meet with senators to talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Agency. There are 4 parts to regulatory reform, and things like systemic risk and the regulation of derivatives. Those topics have gotten a lot of coverage. What hasn't gotten a lot of coverage is what's really happening to the consumer. And the consumers are massive, massive numbers of women and men out all around this country that every day have experienced some type of issue with their credit cards or loans.
For instance,
a very good example, I actually crossed out the name of the bank to protect the bank, but this is an example of what I personally received recently about my credit card.
That's mail for you from your credit card company.
This is mail from my credit card. This is disclosure, and it goes on for 4 pages of tiny print. And in order for me to determine what has changed from my original consumer agreement.
You got a credit card. They sent you this as an amendment, basically, to your credit card agreement. You're a big-time, highfalutin Wall Street executive. You know how money works. You know how to you pick them. You can follow the money, so to speak. And yet.
And for me to actually read this, every single word of it, and go back to my original agreement is really not appropriate.
And you compare and contrast between the other 4 pages and this 4 pages, what they changed.
Absolutely, very difficult for consumers. So one of the things that the Consumer Financial Protection Agency would do is it would make one organization that would be responsible for looking out for the consumer. And right now we don't have that. We have different organizations that basically represent industry, and those organizations look out for the industry.
Yeah, but
so this is something.
Can I see that agreement for 1 second?
Sure.
If the objective of the business is to make money, I can either do that by delivering a quality product to a person.
Correct.
And then you give me money and you say, that was great, Dylan, thank you for that quality product, whatever it may be. That's a valid economy.
Yes.
There's also an economy in which I manipulate the government to allow me to do whatever I want so that I can then scam people 10 different ways, from fine print to open, there's subtle and more explicit degrees of scamming. Isn't the credit card industry the home of the captured government fine print scam? And isn't the reason we don't have a CFPA because it'll destroy this business if they actually have transparency?
Well, I think what we have to learn from what we've experienced the last several years is that not giving proper information to consumers so they can make educated decisions is a real problem. And so we need to have this to
deal with that. And we all know it's a good problem, but we also know that it's an easy way to make money if they don't know if a consumer's stupid. That's the problem.
Yes, but it creates crises.
I know,
so we
I
don't
get
need
that. But it's good for the guy making the credit card deal. A pleasure to see you. Enjoy your time tomorrow. Thank you. That does it for us. I'm Dylan. Hardball is up right now.
216 votes. That's what it's all about. Let's play hardball. Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. Leading off tonight, reality bites. Democratic leaders are charging ahead on health care reform. And what does Speaker Pelosi say to House Democrats who could lose their seats in November if they vote for it? Show some courage. Is that enough to get endangered Democrats on board? Does she have the 216 votes she needs to win? Plus, how far will the Tea Party folk get in taking over the Republican Party? They're headed to victory in Texas tomorrow night with their man Rick Perry, doing the same in Florida. How about Arizona and Kentucky? Who's going to stop the Tea Party people from taking over that party? Also, Howard Dean is here tonight, and my question for him tonight, is he going to be the Tea Partier of the left? Is he going to make his party more progressive, or is he going to try and purge it? Are folks like Blanche Lincoln fair game for him? And Republican obstructionism strikes again. 2,000 federal transportation workers are out of